Hey, look ya.
They say drift already has its kings, its legends, its places on the map.
First card of the line.
But what happens when a new place decides it wants everything?
Everybody
next year, not someday.
Car 90 is out.
Now. This is China, and this is not just another race weekend. This is the start of something bigger. A new championship, new names, new pressure, new rivals. A chance to write history from the very first run. Because when everything is new, every battle means more. Every corner matters more. Every name has a chance to become the first one remembered. And one question hangs over all of it. Who is about to change the sport?
Good afternoon, Shanghai Tianma. It is the first round proper here of your Royal Drift Series, and we're getting ourselves set for what is practice 4 out there for the drivers as they get themselves set and situated with the circuit, and understanding that over the course of today, this would be the last real chance to set themselves up with how the track is running and what needs to be done before we move ourselves over to top 32 qualifying, and critically, above all else which comes on into play, that big old top 32 cut to get down to one big winner here at this wonderful Shanghai Tianma circuit. For those who were here, of course, last time out in April, it was a case of the welcome round, and those who had something to prove, wanted to show that they could do something here in the Royal Drift Series, had themselves a chance to go and prove themselves. And, well, those who did want to prove themselves have come back to go and do so. All of your top 8 from last time at the welcome round are back again to go and compete, and they're all trying to dethrone the winner of that scenario, which was Jarkko Julha, who did so for 0 mileage lubricants gold core and did so at an absolute tearaway's pace to go and get it sorted. This will be the first of 2 practices then, as the groups are split into 2. So we'll get one group that will go out and get themselves getting accustomed to this circuit. There'll be a tiny little break in the middle. Then the second group of drivers are going to go out and get a push. Tianma bringing 4 now instead of just the one of Leonid Schneider. You can see there Maxim Grossman then in position and looking to try and push the man from Irkutsk in Russia. He's 38 years of age, and he is hoping there that that Mark II can have a real push forward as they get themselves set. But what of this Shanghai Tianma circuit? Well, we have elongated from where we were just a couple of months ago, and we will reverse the running. So we ran that one over anti-clockwise to start things off, clockwise to start things off over. We're now going to go anti-clockwise back around the circuit and look to try and push 4 outside zones, 2 touch and goes on a circuit that has proven already to be very technical. And yesterday on practices 1 and 2, it was a very hot day, so hot that actually some of the Shanghai Apex team had some of their mechanics start to feel very, very unwell, actually with a bit of heat stroke to go and deal with. So they're all okay. They had to have a small trip to the hospital to rehydrate themselves, but they're back up on their feet, hopefully, and still getting themselves into position. A little bit of overcast has just clawed over the circuit over the last 15 minutes. I've seen that rolling in from about the final corner out, and it has created this scenario. There you can see that lovely pocket of sky that we were in all morning there as we take a look at the massive giant pit building there, and what will be filled up with the drift taxi and some of the vendors that will come along and the street cars that will come on in over the course of the weekend. We've just been that lovely pocket there of sun, which has been out at about 28 degrees Celsius out there, but everyone will now be understanding where they sit and try and actually be quite happy with a little bit of cool that will hopefully go over, instead of finding themselves with what have been very, very hot and humid conditions here in Shanghai Tianma circuit. So they've got a lot to deal with on a track that has featured in many, many different factors out there. Opened in 2004. It is normally run as an anti-clockwise circuit, so as far as they are running, they will finish the lap at turn 1 as they go, as the way that nature intended this course to be, with it being about 2 kilometers in length. When it goes through, has seen the likes of the World Touring Car Championship race of China back in 2011, which replaced the likes of the Guangdong International Circuit and was won then by Alain Menu and twice for Yvonne Muller. What legends of the sport they were when they got themselves set into position. They've got all of that to go and work with. TCR China, TCR Asia, the Chinese Touring Car Championship has visited here, as well as Chinese Superbikes over the course of the history of this circuit. But Royal Drift Series, critically, seeing itself jump in April, and now here again for the first round proper, with a championship that will run itself all along China for 5 rounds, which will include seeing Tianjin and the V1 Auto World Speedway that will be coming on over next month, and then you've got Ningbo and then the likes of Zhengzhou as well to get yourself set and in for some really nice running that we'll have over the later rounds of the season. But as far as it goes, we've got 43 drivers out there and ready to set themselves up. There is one driver who will not be taking part over the course of racing action. That will be Arturs Miskinis in the number 24. Unfortunately for Arturs, the trouble that was found was that importing his car over from Oman has just taken a little bit too long, and therefore has seen it get just a little bit too tough to get in and to position in the nick of time. So that will now put a change into his plans. He will have to go to Tianjin and start his season off there and basically race with twice as much energy as possible. Time Up themselves had themselves a few issues out there as we take a look then with the car numbers out there and the drivers who are in and on to play. So you've got drivers like Leonid Schneider, Ho Xiao Yu there, Jerry Ju on the back of his result over in qualifying for the likes of the works in Japan. Suzuka did very well, and so this is going to be where you are looking to set. So qualifying is going to be very, very key in terms of where everyone is going to set here as we get ourselves then into play in practice. So we'll keep a close eye on who manages what over that course. But Maxim Grossman then is going to be the first one then to go out and look to challenge here. 4 outside zones. There's the first one there. Got 4 clips to go and hit. As you get the push over, there's the transition, and over the outside there as you go through touch and go 1. OZ2 is the toughest. It sets up the run here to OZ3 as you work through that TG2 zone as well on the exit of OZ2, and this is a very tough end to the lap because you've got to make sure that you stagger and slow into OZ4 and finish off on proceeding there. So that is a lovely start to what can be done. We'll take a look on the replay there. Lovely amounts of drift and lean there, just seeing the rear wheels just hold and just that natural progression to jump on in through the corner. One of the Magpies there just trying to jump out of the way as it was a case of we're going to be back to running, and they can see just the level of rotation that has to be needed. They're right over the mark, 3 and 3. You'd score very well on your running then over the course of your line, as that would be set by Stepan Zemtsev, who is the lead judge out there. Here is one of the Zhongshe number 1 racing OPS drift cars now looking to make a push. It's the Nissan Skyline GT R35 that is out there, and it's absolutely wringing the neck. That is, at this point in time, the 777 of Lu Qiao, who is there pushing in through 4 and looking to get that finish nice and sorted there. Lovely amounts of lean and angle, and that certainly made for some good help. So they can see just how much you have to commit. You go over the curve, then what is the first outside zone, and it's very difficult to spot your line. That's why you've got those marks there, which indicates the initiation of the zone there. Hits very shallow though in through 2 and misses the second part there of OZ2, so that certainly made no help about it. And then 2 miss certainly won't help then on that push. Just a little bit too eager to get that Nissan Skyline turned on in, getting everything that's needed sorted. So these runs are going to be thick and fast. We're not going to catch every single one of them out there and pushing. Here is the 31 over at Zero Mileage Lubricants Noyu Gold Zero Mileage team, really trying to kick on in. This will be Lee Song-young who is looking at this, going, right, OZ2 up over the top of the berm as it transfers over to concrete. You look for the way to get back onto asphalt, and then you're trying to push. Misses TG2, very much over the curb. Now, it is wheel over, so here's how it works in terms of what happens when you go out of bounds through a no-go zone or outside the line. You'll lose a couple of points, 2 points if you dip one wheel over like you see there. If you dip 2 wheels over, you lose 10. 3, you lose 20. And at all 4, they'll zero your run in qualifying, but here in practice, it's okay. You're looking to try and find your boundaries and hope to see all of that set up and into motion. Look at that, right up against the line there in 4K slow-mo there to get yourself in. You really sense here just how much of an effort you have to do to get the rotation. Now, interesting story here, as there is Echo Gao's 990 out there, not the same car that she usually runs, as she represents from Beijing in China. This is her Toyota, or not necessarily her, but her teammates, Toyota GT86, only 650 brake horsepower being produced out of the back, or out of the front, sorry, of the 650 LS, or the LS3 engine that you normally see in the Nissan Silvias, is where they've traditionally been found from, then that Nissan engine. So she's going to be very much down on power. She's going to be looking to try and kick through with as much as she possibly can, and she will feel that she's going to be on the back foot, but still showing that there's a lot of talent from her, and she is going to be a dark horse in any competition that she enters. But you can see really getting the tail kicked out there and trying to get that stagger in. 3-3, and then across for 3. Absolutely ace and perfect. The one worry will be with that lack of power there in the engine, how is that going to work through the likes of the chases, where she might be gapped and distanced a little bit more than some of the others. Oh, and in the wall. That is a big old shunt to the front, got out of the power quite quickly, and that could have been disastrous. I think that might be able to be driven away there from Lan Shikai on own power. Was thinking of running the BMW M2, but the engine blew up yesterday, and so a bad weekend, or a bad Thursday and Friday, I should say, starts to get worse. Tried to really initiate the angle, nowhere to go. You can see that's the gap in the fence there. Oh, almost pushed the concrete block over there that would have gone through. Red flag, of course, being waved for it. But you really get the sense of, even at such a low speed like that, that is still a high-intensity impact. You can see there the marshal just getting in underneath, trying to say, can I get that piece then out and away, and tucked so it can get back to the garage. It looks like it's dropped something as well. That's why the bucket's out there. So looks like the radiator maybe might have seen some cooling leak. It could be any number of things actually from that position. That is the call from the marshals. Yep, you're going to need to get out the car. We're going to have to tow that one back. Are you okay? Yes is the answering call. And definitely not what was wanted on that old Toyota there that is running. And so the spare car definitely not having a lot of fun out there. And this should be one where you say, right, the afternoon pretty much, how much work are you going to have to do to pull that back into position? So very tough to deal with. Yep, I would walk away from that. Let's have a look at the front. Yeah, we're going to get the tow truck out for that one. And so this will bring proceedings to a bit of a grounding halt at this point in time. And so it really does set up for how everyone looks to be going about for it here in today's running. So a lot to think about in terms of where they want to be, where the form book will lie out there, and some of the cars that are being run here today. So there's a lot of information that has been passed on over through to me. We've got the likes of some E46s, E92s, some a lot of M2s actually being run, and Zhenghao has an M3 that popped its engine earlier on. Another little look at this here. So wants to initiate but you're trying to get it to flick quick to the left to get the rotation round to the right. And so, oh, you can see it's almost torn the tyre off there of the suspension there. Absolutely no way that one will be going, and pretty much wheels out is not the way that you want to see that one driven back. Obviously, it would do more damage than it's worth to pull that away. So a disastrous start to things for Lanshikai there. So that will be a case of, okay, I've got a little bit more to do and to go through. And guess what? It's his birthday tomorrow as well. So there's nothing worse than saying, happy birthday, my car won't start and I won't be out there in position and running. So won't be too pleased about that. We've got, of course, the BMW Z4 that we saw of Van Chi in the welcome round, which was unpainted. Oh, yeah, I'll give a little wave. Hello. Yeah, I don't quite know what went wrong there. Is maybe the understanding of what we saw there out there and saying, not quite where I wanted to be. As far as that one all looked to set itself up. But I would be turning around and saying we've also got a Nissan A31 Sephiros that are in here, a Nissan Silvia S14 and 15 out there, which have been eyeing up more the 15s that I think are going to get the run. That Skyline's going to be there as we take a look.
2023年扎根中国天津，车队集结溜溜哥、高璇、钱尊、张展赫4位顶尖车手。近年来，我们持续征战国内外顶级漂移赛事，屡创佳绩，以硬核技术、赛场实力与超强流量领跑中国漂移新势力。从解说台到冠军赛道，从国内赛场到国际舞台，每一位车手都在用热爱诠释速度与掌控，用实力铸就中国漂移新高度。1087X 漂移车队不止征战赛场，更立志肩负起推广中国漂移文化的使命，以热爱致敬赛道，以实力续写荣光。
Hey, look out. Gotcha. Hey, look.
Welcome back to Shanghai Tianma after what was a pretty sizable moment that we saw over with the 606 of Lanshikai, who would not be too pleased at finding all of the trouble. That Photon flatbed is going to be taking that away, and you can already see the rubber discard that is out there, and a lot of sawdust has been thrown down on the circuit, so obviously some coolant has leaked out onto the track and has made life very, very tough for many of these drivers to turn around and say, look, we need to go and get out there, we need to get that practice down, and the last thing they want is to be spinning around through OZ1, seeing all of their runs completely ruined, and then not really much more that they could do. Very unideal for then the next driver up, who has to just sit and wait and be very, very patient there from Zero Mileage team there. So that's going to be very tough. Now, looking around at that, that looks like one of the BMW M2, so that could be either Ho Xiao Yu in number 3, didn't get a chance to see the number on the side, or Xue Kun, who could have been there and getting on through. So Xue Kun will be eyeing this as maybe an opportunity to get a little bit more practice under the belt. As we take that lovely panoramic shot, you can see the paddock there in the back, just giving as much there. And actually, you still see some of the old paint from where we ran in the welcome round 2 months later, which I think is absolutely staggering to see where the old circuit and the new circuit that we are running basically correlate and coalesce. And for this one, we get to run down into the paddock. Isn't that beautiful there? That is Connor Schaar's Ferrari California that sits down there. Drift spec, it's his spare car out there for running, and it looks absolutely magnificent. There is that number 36 machine that is there and ready to go out at a moment's notice of Carman Dong, who did very, very well in the first effort and attempt of Saturday qualifying at the welcome round. Got 5th place there and was invited up with Echo Gao breaking some suspension link to go and challenge top 4 in that regard. The Sunday didn't quite go as well. There is Connor looking to settle up, gets the helmet in the car, and we'll just set and get things sorted. That is not a nice sight to see out there on a car, on a flatbed, and ratcheting very hard then to try and make sure that the wheels point somewhat in a parallel direction to what the rear wheels are doing. So rather than it being almost perpendicular as to what we saw, I think they're going to be getting that away pretty quickly, and we will be getting back to running here in practice. But that's the thing with practice, it's the time of everyone. If one car crashes, then everyone else has to wait for the circuit to clear before they get that opportunity. And actually, what you'll be seeing here, that run 2 into 3, so as you come out of OZ2 and then you hit TG2 and then into OZ3, you can see there's a little bit of paint mark that's just before it. They've actually moved that mark further back over the course of the running that we have seen over Thursday, and said, look, this is what we can do. Another look then at this replay. This is how quickly it can go wrong. You can see left it too late, jammed on the brakes, locked up the front, and just tried desperately to get out of something that was destined for the wall, because you have that opening there for the crews to get out there. Well, fortunately, it would be a quick instant to get to, but more importantly than that, you get a much heavier hit when you go into an opening like that, rather than just hitting something on the side that is intended to be there. So effectively a square-on hit rather than a side-on hit, and so more energy disperses when you have a side-on hit, so you get away with it a little bit more. You can't get away with it into OZ1, and if you make a mistake like that, that can be a race weekender if you're not being too careful, as the truck will now make its full launch around the circuit before it runs on back to the paddock down on the south side of the circuit as we race to the north here around Shanghai Tianma. So that ultimately, or drift to the north, I would say, as the North Star goes. But ultimately, a sad and sorry sight of a car is what the end result of that is going to be. And so there's not much more that can be said, except we're going to need everyone to go through. Nice little wave there from one of the Marvy lads down there. They've only got 2 here today, with Zhang Hao in the number 22 and Kevin Lee, who is there. And there is Quan, who is then going to set himself up into play, that number 88. So it's going to be a case of how does this all set into motion as you go on for it. So there's the 88, very much saying, look, we'd like to be out there, we'd like to be pushing forward, and so they're now going to soon get their chance to say, okay, right, game on is the call, and we will be absolutely pushing at 10/10 to say, right, I want to get some practice in under my belt. You can see one of the Rydan's machines looking to set itself up. They're doing donuts in the back just to keep some tyre temperature in and to just get the final bits of understanding of where you're going to need to push there. The likes there of that pickup truck moving back along, and with the stretcher there is on the back, ultimately not needing to be used, and thankfully so. Just making sure that stays out of the way before we get on in down into the paddock, and everyone will turn out and say, yeah, no, that's not what I want that to see. Those mechanics there over at the Zero Mileage Lubricants team are going to take that and go, right, we're going to have to do some buffing out of that, maybe a bit of a kettle plunger job, or maybe we're going to have to do a lot to replace that suspension. Long night at the office is what is going to be said. So they're opposite then the Rydan's garages that are there. Those tents popped up along the side. You can see right down at the bottom there is where 1087 is on the right-hand side. You've got the left as well, which is where Shanghai Apex and also DKS Longsword are sitting out there at this point. So they're going to be happy. Or is there more trouble out there? Is that the tow truck having to be said then for the Marvi machine? Now, if that is Zheng Hao's 22, that is going to be disastrous, and it looks to my mind that it might not. That might be Kevin Lee there in the 910. So that could be even more disastrous, that it's idled for so long that something's gone wrong, and it is. So not just one engine misfire out there, but second disaster that will set on in. So ultimately, that Nissan is not going to be too pleased with the way that that will sit. So Kevin Lee will take the quick tow around, and this practice is suddenly turning into one where everyone is setting about and going, yeah, this isn't going anywhere. This isn't quite what we were expecting here, that it's going to be a case that the mechanics are going to get more work at this rate than we're seeing with some of the cars who have struggled here with the heat and temperatures, and the drivers, of course, and the mechanics all have done as well. And they've all been setting themselves up and saying, right, how much more do we need as far as it goes to get a good day? We're expecting 4 lots of sunny skies out there, maybe a threat of rain on Sunday, but not necessarily too sure about that. And here's a little inspection of it. How much has that gone? Have I knocked a brake off? How good's the suspension been? Is it still intact? Is it something that we can use some carbon fiber tape on or something? Or is this going to be one where we just need to completely change the part? Because I think it's more likely the latter than it is anything that's going to quick fix it to get that sorted. And obviously they're still got to wait to get that off the flatbed and into a safe position where it can roll into the garage and they can do all of their works and repairs. So until we get that next running, you can listen into a little bit of the sound on the site that is there and around with you. And once running resumes, I'll be back with you. So we'll get a little look at the 910. Kevin Lee there, having a little strut around, trying to have a look, see exactly where it's gone wrong, trying to get that turned into the garage there, that 910, and he's not looking a very pleased gentleman out there as he has a little look over. Is this all okay? And for the most part, no, it's not. It's had to be towed away. And so that will bring more to the line, and as they wait just to get that confirmation, we will hold just for a moment. let's get ourselves back into position here with practice 4 as we get that lovely transfer over, and with great intensity then it's going to be a case of Shui Kun really looking to push, or Quan, sorry, out there and saying, right, I'm going to want in and get everything I can. There's the kick over through TG2 and OZ3 and into OZ4. Oh, just cutting the line a little bit too fine for my liking there, but if you're over the second line, that's absolutely more than okay to go and get out there. They'll score you 3 points going over that second line, and being very, very happy about that. Missing through the gate there of OZ1, the third part of it, and then 2 into 2. Yeah, you'll take that. Then Tyre dips over the top, gets 3, and that ultimately basically cancels out all the effort and attempt there. Nice 2 threes there. They need a shallow line in through here. Moderate to high angle needed through this final section. You can see just trying to get it to rotate. Very easy to get that end around if you're not too careful. So there's the look from the drone shot, chasing on under spotter's guide. We're both me and Alex, who is over on the Chinese commentary side, will be up there over on that scenario, looking to try and get as much push as possible there to get out through the corner. And the run, I think, going to be very, very telling about who does what. Now, there are some fan favourites out there over the course of Racing Running. We are expecting a near sold-out crowd to come along over Saturday and on Sunday, as rolling up into garage position then and saying, look, let's get ourselves into play. This is Gao Shanbo. He's not the driver that is the main focus of where that understanding is going to be. It's his teammate, Lin Gao Yuan, who will be very much someone to keep a big eye out on. He's a massive sensation in China and a multi-talented sportsman, as this will be tandem that will get in. So can I tandem with you? The answer is yes, and so Maxim Grossman is going to try and see what Gao Shanbo can do. Now, when you tandem, it's a lot different. If you're the recovering car, you've got to try and follow the best you can with what's there in front of you, getting very shallow then in that time-up machine, and basically having to take a stutter step every single time. It's got so much power, has that Toyota out there, that Mark II. It's got upwards of 1,100 brake horsepower that it just wants to pull down, and when it's up against something that's a little bit slower and was struggling to get the rotation through, it creates this choppy run that you see. But Lin Gao Yuan, world number 2, or former world number 2 when it came to table tennis, still participates, is still a top 150 player in the world, but ultimately he's out here, his fan base is going to be coming out in droves, and to get the moniker and adage going, he will be shaking hands, he will be kissing babies, effectively, if all of his fan base go and say, hi, nice to meet you. So that's going to be key. Here is the Doromos car, then looking to go out there and be aggressive. This is still a part of zero mileage lubricant out there. Oh, and that is also going to come to a staggering halt. Then as that looks to put that on and through. So Nick Lee, I don't think is going to be a happy bunny. He's already had one go awry, and then here this second one, big angle, gotta love it. And is it just going to be when you try and put the power on? Yeah, just let's go there. And that's not going to be too pleasing out there for the run. You can see just trying to get out of the corner and back over the curb, which is always very interesting here. So now we've got a bit of a duel on our hands. You've got one of the time-up machines there in yellow. I believe that is going to be Matskevich Kirill, who will be there and pushing forward. Oh, going to get a big amount of sideways then going through and chasing on through there with one of the ride-hands updrift machines, and that looks like it's one of the 70s out there, which will be the International Flair and Appeal. I think that might be Sebastian Fontaine there that was going out and challenging with. You can see really jumping in. I will correct myself there. It looks like it's 74 Pavel Korpolinski. 4th in the world last year at Drift Masters, 5th the year before that. currently in 4th position in those championships and had a top 4 at his season opener at Vallelunga. So would look around, didn't get as much luck over at Jarama in Spain, but definitely a driver who I would say is on the list of favourites. Had a little bit of a shaky position out there to his work out, because as he flew over last week to get the car sorted, his car's engine popped on the dyno test, so that certainly wouldn't have done any favours at all out there overall for his Nissan Silvia S14. He's piloting push then through this section, try and get good transfer over through 3. That is the 31 of Lee Sung-young, who's trying to get that all sorted for 0 mileage lubricant, ZN team, and just about gets enough to run on through. So you can see here, there's the transfer, really locking up, gets it nice on the line, and there's not really too much wrong with that at OZ1. OZ3 looked pretty good, and here at OZ2, oh, that is a tyre over the line, or just about on it. I'd call that over, there's definitely over there, so would have had a little bit of trouble then to go through. One of the 1087s then going next, I believe here, that is going to be Zhong Chehe, potentially, who's going to be out there and getting those eyes absolutely staring down then and working through OZ2. Struggling to get that to the outside, and then getting very shallow there on the exit through OZ3, tries to recover that back. It is, in fact, the 68 there who's working. 24 years of age is Zhong Chehe. There, that Lexus IS200 there that gets as much power and precision as is needed. 750 brake horsepower in that Toyota 2JZ engine, the most common of all drift engines out there, the 2JZ, and very much the one of choice for many out there to go to and say, look, we are going to go absolutely out there. Bulletproof engine block out there, a forged steel crankshaft, and the connecting rods that go along with it. Very good in the low to mid-range torque, which is what you need to get up through the gears really quickly and ready to drift, and is helpful, of course, with that VVTi variable valve timing integration. There, the 26 will now be next off in onto play, so that should now set you into some sign and sight. It says 26 on the back as it now pushes, and yes, this is where you're going to be absolutely trying to wring the neck out of it. Really get your turn in through. There's a bit more and then some there. That all looks to set itself up, and that will give you a really good understanding of how much you have to push, how much you've got to try and find your limits, and everyone's going to be either at it or over it and on the line, and then over at that OZ2 that really doesn't set itself with the way that it needed to be found there. So that could have been a little bit clean up, but ultimately when you got angle like that, oh, Connor Shah is going to get that Ferrari running, that California. Oh, I'm going to be very much fanboying over this as far as it goes. How often do you see a Ferrari California out there and drifting? And ultimately, that's going to be a case of I am not going to go anywhere as they leave that one all on through. Fat 5 Racing, it says on the side, as well as Slide Racing out there. And Connor took the overall victory out there, as that is going to be a claw back to the pits, I believe, for one of the Jean-Sers cars out there, which could be Sam Hyongshen in trouble, or Sam Chien. Ooh, that's not going to be very helpful at all. And then just waiting behind there is a brand newly painted machine BMW Z4, which is very nice to see, of Van Chi, who ended up with 3rd place at the Open. Off of the jacks then it will be, and it's come off of the flatbed, but it's still going to have to roll and pull itself back into pits. Go on, give it a push. There's 5-6 of you trying to get that back in. Push! Push! Put your back into it. Turn it around. Yes, gets that one all into play. Connor Shout then, who had great work in Formula Drift Japan at Suzuka, getting the overall win, I believe. One of the first ever Chinese drivers to go and win in Japan in that series. Jerry Ju had a very good run, as there goes the launch. Trying to work from the inside line here is Connor, and really trying to rag on some angle. Look at that! Oh, you gotta love to see it here. This Ferrari California out there and in play. Gets nicely over the line. 3, 2.5 to 3, 3, perfect there, but speed's not there. Oh, is that rear's starting to let go here as you're trying to push? They're gonna get through tyres so quickly. Out there, just about overcooking it there. I think there was some rubber there that is gonna be looking at it going, how much tread am I going to have to play with there? But it's an absolutely lovely start. Just couldn't find the speed to go along with it there in that Ferrari California. So, see, 1 in on the entry. Gets it out to 3. Is that a tie dip? Yeah, I'd call that a tie dip. So you'd lose 2 points for that. And then back in 3. And then 2, which you'll call that as a 3. And then look at this on the transfer. Trying to get it over. Take a good long stare at that tyre. There on the rear as it tries to go through. Does it give me anything? Lots of smoke being poured out over the sidewall. And then just trying to get as much launch as possible. Now that is a very straight on line. So that one has not played out there for the 88 over Chuikun. But now Maxim Grossman with a chance to return favour on the tandem battle. It's got lightning fast speed. It does look like the exact same car that Leonid ran in the last race. So he goes from blue over to green. And when I first chatted with him, I said, oh, how does it feel being in a car that's not necessarily yours? He goes, yeah, no, it's always mine. I always run in a car like this. But obviously the colours have changed. And then, it's a little bit too eager to try and gain that back from Gao Shambo. And so that one there is a telling factor of how much push is going to be needed there from the DKS longsword machine. There you can see the lovely longsword on the top, and just already seeing that gap extend out to maybe 5 car widths, 6 car widths. And whenever you get gapped out on a drift, you basically kiss goodbye to getting any sort of points on the run. If you can prove you can run away on the front in a tandem, it's big points for you. Normally, no matter how you try and get that. There's the look on the 4K slow-mo into OZ2 and through TG1. TG standing touch and go. You only need to touch it and then you need to go away again. So it doesn't matter if you clip it by an inch, doesn't matter if you clip it by a mile. You're going to be out there and giving it everything you've got. So, Matskovic Kirill from Minsk in Belarus. Up then here, giving a little bit of practice out there with the 233, from Rydans, and that is going to be Tiacheng, who will be out there and looking to try and push for it. And so I would be looking around at this and saying, right, what is my competition going to look like? That was a very nice accomplished drift then to go through. You want to practice with as many people as possible on a Thursday and a Friday in my book, because if you do that, you're prepared for how you score the points, which is a Sunday, and that's the critical place. Qualifying gets yourself in on a Saturday, but it's the points you score on a Sunday. So you know that that's the way you're going to want to get it. Lots of hold on the rear brakes there as it goes through. That wheel just staying stagnant for a long old time as that one looked to try and find its clearance ready and all sorted. Jung Jahe sat back, waiting. Lots of tape over the rear bumper there as well, and looks like he's going to have a chance to drift out with Echo Gao then and get the practice in. Now, these two drifted with each other in last 16 over at the welcome round. That's a lot out there, and it's overkill then from Echo, who basically would zero out at that point, just getting too much rotation in. Would have been a little bit scared in by the angle that Jung Jahe would have put in. Gathers it back up, and well, you might as well make the most of the end of it. They're taking a very shallow run as, Sean getting a lovely amount of angle to push through, but overcooks it. And that is 2 10.78s then that find themselves spun out at turn 4. Get a look at that Royal Drift Series signage out there. So overcooks it in, takes a lot of grass along for company, which is a miss and a half. And then Echo just overcooking, but you can see there that they got the cameras on the side, so they'll be doing some promotional filming for 1087X with all of that. The massive fan base, of course, that Echo has and runs with. She will be a future champion one day with the way that she handles herself, the ability that she has available to her. She's just got to put the pieces together and she'll get that. But you can see Jung Jahe just pushing a little bit too much. Echo as well, not in her main machinery, so finding out how difficult running can be. The first chance then to look at the 11 of Jerry Jew, who is out there and piloting, different from the Mazda that he had a lot of struggles with at the welcome round. So it's now moving over in terms of machinery to the BMW E92. He'd put the car down for about 18 months, so it's like trying to pick up and ride a bike again for him. It will be easy eventually for him, but for the first few runs he goes about, he's going to be in a world of struggle. Look at that, he's having to really fight to get it around to avoid the no-go zone on the inside. If you clip that, you can say, well, goodbye to it, but he's really going to be looking to try and show what he's capable of over in Japan at Suzuka. He got the best run of anybody, scored points on one of the toughest circuits out there in Suzuka, and that basically said to him, right, I can go out there, I can score, and he's got one of the biggest zero ratings over on that tour, but here on this one, he's looking to really give something of himself there. Oh, can't get much closer to the curb if you try, the cones if you try on that exit of one. And the paintwork, googly eye, I wouldn't say it's googly eyed, but it's definitely striking what comes along next. And so now, how do you look to put down a run on what is going to be a very nice Nissan Safiro, a 31 that wants to get its progress and going? This will be Tongling, who will be pushing here, 700 brake horsepower out of this 2JZ. The Minion machine, it's yellow, and it's looking like it's gone the wrong way, so ultimately has to straighten completely out through OZ1. Still going to chuck it anyway here through OZ2, and why wouldn't you at this point? Get a lot of sideways on it, hits the mark well, transfer over, it's nice and smooth, but pace will be a little bit lacking. 3, 2, 2, and tyres over the top. Then looking to try and get that push over towards the line. So look then, over pushes in, can't gather it back, straightens out on the exit. Last thing you want in a drifting machine is to be facing the way you want to go. You almost want to be looking out of the left mirrors or left windows to go and make that happen. And ultimately gets absolutely none of that there, and that was almost like I need Gru to help me and guide me, rather than being out there in a Minions and Demons style. Out there, of course, that new movie coming out by Funimation, and I'm sure will be with a lot of fans going out there to push. Lee Songtian is out again. Songtian looking to push 800 brake horsepower being produced there from that 2JZ, so they've got a little bit more out of it. Really kicking up over the bumps and over commits, and has to really get the handbrake on to get it to just sync up, do what it wants. A lot of feet work having to be put in. Once across the board there at OZ4. Write that one down to experience, why don't we? And say, I'll learn not to do half of that next time. You can see, really trying to get that stagger step over the line pretty much to halfway. It's never going to be helpful on how you want to try and push through. And then here at OZ2, you've got to try and make it up. And you've got that transition. You go from asphalt over the bump, then on concrete, back to asphalt again. Very Sebring-esque in the way that you have to go and put that together. And what you see from Sunset Bend, oh, actually from the Ullman corner, the Ullman straight all the way over to turn 2. So 302 is going to look in busy. That will be Nick Lee, and this will be up against Connor Schiart. So this will be BMW out there versus Ferrari California, and that is going to be something fun to go out there and see. So you are going to be noting and seeing, right, I want everything I can and then some out of it. There's the drift. Schiart gets close and has to almost abandon immediately out of it there, with how much of a slide was put into progress then, and ultimately that is going to temper up this tandem, which ultimately I think that California is going to get back and does a very good job of trying to hunt that down, give at least something into the final stage. But ultimately for Nick Lee, job accomplished there on that practice. I've got the better of that Ferrari California, and well, I think you'd be very happy if you manage that. Here's that tick again, gets very close and trying to square it up to not run into the side there of Nick Lee for Connor Schiart. Ultimately just puts too much steering angle on it, too much lock, And the car just basically decides, I don't want to drift anymore, I want to slow down, and I want the back to see what the front is looking at. Never an easy sign to see that out there, but was able to gather it back, give it a good old fight, and then look to push over and say, look, I can get on close still though, even if I do find myself out there and battling over with it. Zhongshe, #1 Racing OPS Drift Team, then on next, and this will be that number 16 of Xiongmenshi, who will be looking to get this E46 moving. 800 brake horsepower is there for the LT5 engine that is in on it. Oh, really trying to fight, really trying to get that going. And that LT5 then sits itself in the middle and is a very important engine there. It's a Chevrolet LT5, 6.2 litre supercharged pushrod V8 from 2019, the most powerful production engine that Chevrolet has ever built. It's a Gen 5 small block out there as it pushes, and normally it comes with a 2.65 litre Eaton supercharger out there to give it the dual fuel injection, and is normally directly available as a crate engine. It is based on the classic LT5 made by General Motors and the Lotus Group out there as that on pushes, and again, give it as much angle as you possibly dare and really chuck the corner in and say, I want as much, if not more. Tyres there absolutely letting go with how much rubber and shock comes off the back, and that is another lovely drift out there by one of the champion speed sport DRS drifting team drivers out there, really looking to kick that one into gear and say, I am all in. With that, we'll take a little review on back. Get a look there. Gonna get a lot of sideways out there, and you are gonna get a lot of different shapes, looking to try and chuck everything you possibly can at it. Get as much time in, as much practice, as much prestige as you can, going and pushing on forward. Jason Yee, by example, as well, has also run into troubles today. Has broken, I believe, something on the back of the car. It just limped to a stop and was very much not happy with it. So Connor Shah will get another drift attempt, this time with Xiongmenshi, as this will be a case of Shah following and wants to follow a little bit better. Gets right up in the wheelhouse there with that Ferrari California. There's the first transfer of the run. Nicely set itself in. Over with 3, one wheel jumping off the side. Connor getting very, very shallow, struggling to hold any sort of momentum. It's now going to have to do a lot of work to get back through the decel zone. It gets right on in to the door and says, knock, knock, who's there? It's me, it's Connor Sharp. And so, with that, there's the push, trying to navigate on through. And, well, pretty decent drift, has to be said. Maybe a little lack of pace out there from Xiongmenshi. LT5 engine in the number 16. Up against Connor Shah's Ferrari California. That absolutely just wants to throw everything at it. Big old slide. And that is absolutely mint as far as that one sits. So now, opportunity comes along. It is the 13 over at right-hand 441 BW updrift, and this should now be Jason Yee, who has got the car back in service, basically lost the end of practice. Oh, and it straightens out, an absolute nightmare working on through. And I think that's going to be a roll. He was struggling. He told me earlier on, actually, that he's struggling to get the right amount of caster that he needs. He's spending a little bit too much time in the office, not enough time on the car to say, look, mechanics, I want this, and I need it to play. So definitely having to fine-tune and fettle here with the settings available to him, give him more caster, give him more angle at the top end, just dealing with too much understeer. And the way that straightens out, with a side of that's not going to be a pleasing day at the office for many. So, with that, a little bit of a break before we get the next cars around and sorting themselves out. So in that sense, there's been time available and allotted here to get themselves up to speed and practicing out there and saying, right, this is what I'm about, what are you about? And there will be another session that will come along soon. We'll soon do the same. A little look then from our drone shot. There we are. We're just behind the spotters work zone. They're out there as it sets. Absolutely beautiful Shanghai Tianma as a circuit. Sits itself right on the outskirts on the west side of Shanghai, not too far off of the Sontiang district, and it sets itself in and nice. There is Jason Yi. One run out there just to dust the cobwebs off, and we'll feel that was a job well done. They got itself set, they got it out there, and they said, right, okay, that's more of that that's needed. So now let's flip reverse it for a moment, because now it's Nick Lee's turn to go out there and push, and the 98 of Gao Shanbo will follow. Oh my goodness, that's gone a mile off there, and oh, that's actually found barrier out there. Red flags will show for it, of course, so that will mean you've got to stop the drift and not continue, otherwise you're going to be a very naughty boy, and I think Nick Lee here is being a very naughty boy by not bringing that into play, but I think because that's cleared, they will allow this to continue. But that, overcommitment. Now, when you've got the curb into one, there is a huge difference now of what you need to do, because you've got it basically flat, and then if you over push here, like you see, how has that not clipped the rear? You're going to be turning around and saying, look, you're going to be off the road. It's avoided the bundle and barriers there, but a litany of problems that sets itself in compared to a lot more of the others that we have seen. So Gao Shanbo just being a little over pushy on the mark and the margin. So, Zhang Zhenhe looking to get a little bit of understanding. That's one of the people trying to talk there with Jason out there, trying to get an understanding. I believe he's come along with Sebastian Fontaine, who is running as well for Rydans, and he's out there in the number 76 for running here today. Absolute giant out there of drifting, and mainly that will be because of his 6'6" frame that he has to try and wield in to the machinery. The Dutch don't do small, they do tall out there, unless you happen to be Max Verstappen, say for example. But ultimately, just trying to get feedback, understanding where everyone's going to be. I think it's Echo Gao's turn now to be at the front as she goes against her good friend and teammate out there of Zhang Zhehe, who will be setting on into line, or is set. Now Echo is there and ready. Let's get the respect zone sorted on the left. The big push from Echo on the right. Trying to get it to dial up, and it dials up a tree through OZ1, and you need to just gather it back up, get the transfer sorted. You can see the skill and talent that's there from Echo as she hits her marks and says, I am going to be very, very happy with all of this, running on forward and getting that set. Oh, struggling to get that rotated towards the end. It had to bite a couple times before it finally allowed the leash to go off the hook, but oh mama, that was one where you'd say very consistent from Echo Gao, and that's going to be her game over the course of this weekend. Hit the marks, get it consistent, play with line, but speed's going to be the tougher thing in almost every manner of metric with a car that is not her own to go and drift with. So it's going to need a little bit more out there, but it's a very nice building block shot there. The GoPros on the side, or GoPro-like devices that are there, and trying to just get that rotation in, get the understanding of, oh yeah, we can drift close to each other, and this is what we are all made of, and we are all about. So that shows you the push of where everyone is happy with, and More will come along here in this training or this practice session, practice 4, I like to call it out there. And once more, Sheng Wenxi is going to be next up then to have another little set of what these positions are going to be. So you will see our graphics over the top of what we're doing here in practice, getting it all set up and situated where they want to be. And note how it's not a window, but more rather looks like perspex there in the back. Makes a huge difference as it all goes through the run, because you'll be able to see out of that window if you necessarily wanted to. Really chucking on the angle and carrying a good amount of momentum, but ultimately it stays way too shallow through OZ4. And that doesn't necessarily play the way it needs to. So, with that, I think it's going to be a case now of time up versus time up by the looks of things. Pushing on through, Maxim Grossman on the rear, giving chase, leading out there, Matskevich Kirill, who looks to try and just manage through. Look at these two time-up teammates, looking to really show that there's so much they can do. Engines tuned up to the max, really trying to get as much as they can out of it, and that's a lovely finish there from the pair of them. That's what you look for in tandem running. And so you get a real big kick going through, just about brushing the lines. And the roll, it doesn't matter if the car that is on the rear chasing goes over the lines. Their job is how well do they follow what is set from out in front. And so if you stay anywhere between a pillar and front tyre, you are normally in a really good spot to be getting very high points on the chase. And so sometimes I think that will set itself in as what will be a very good run out there and working on through. So you'll see people like Lee Sung-yang over the course of this with a BMW M2 with a 2JZ, which has about 800 brake horsepower available to it there in the number 31. But we're going to get a little bit more running here from Gao Shanbo in the number 98 for DKS. Long sword, just about get to 1, 2. Oh, it's really fighting there at the end to get back around, and the pace has just completely evaporated. Still fighting hard for it. Gets TG2, misses the no-go zone. Lovely transfer there into OZ3 and at OZ4. Boom. I'd like that very much. A lovely run as you get yourself set. So you got the likes then of Kaitak, who's in the 88 and is running through. I believe he's only 14 years of age as Kaitak, so that would be huge actually in terms of the future of drifting here in China. To say, look at this, how this young kid goes about business. But focusing then with Longsword and DKS. Just about kicking around there. You can see the tape there and all of that, just trying to hold it together. Very nice run. And once more, give it another go, Zhang. Why not? Against Echo Gao. And say, I really want to get this run sorted. We basically made a meal out of the first time we tried this. Let's do it again. And if we do manage to do this again, it's going to be something where I think, okay, I want to be in a really strong position to get into what we see here with qualifying coming up. I want to know what my level is. I want to know how hard I can drift with it. And I want to also get the understanding of, you know, what are drivers around me capable of doing. That is the other side of the coin that sets itself off in motion and says, yeah, I do want something. I do want to give a little bit more out there. And part of any drift competition, it's about who you drift with as well, rather than what you're drifting with sometimes, and what you've got to prove. Oh, lovely kick from the Lexus out there. That is brilliant from Zhong Jihe, who will now move through TG1 into OZ2. Echo getting a little shy on the inside. Oh, lovely angle, Zhong. It's more of that. That's where the medicine comes along from. Working around through 4 and over to the line. Oh, just a little bit over on the exit would have knocked a mark or two off, but pretty strong effort out there, maybe slightly over the line more than what is needed. So maybe he's going to have to try and fight that a little bit more back. But that pretty much puts to a testament then of what this drifting malark is all going to be about. You've just got to race what is, or drift what is there in front of you, and they're just absolutely pulling away from Shun Wenxi. Is going to be Connor Xia, who wants in around and says, yeah, buddy, and then some in that California, and then some at OZ3. And a little bit more at OZ4, but can't quite hit all of the lanes. Gets a lot of sideways and runs through. Absolutely nowhere for Zhong Wenxi. Take a look at it here. Oh, late to the initiation. Has to overdrive it to get it back. Nightmare. Absolute nightmare. And then couldn't carry the speed there in the back through OZ3, and so that creates the straightening up, the loss of speed. You almost have to set yourself back up from OZ2 and TG1 to get the rest of the lap completed. So it's a tale of two. Jerry Ju out there pushing hard and giving it a good old battle with one of the Johnson cars out there that wants to really start saying, right, I am going to make a name for myself, and it is still that 777 out there that is managing to do so of Lu Xiao. So through 4, gets it nice and worked on the exit, and Lu Xiao, who had that chance to follow, has done so, and maybe you argue a little bit tougher to get a car like a Skyline R35 to bite around. Normally when you talk about them, they're all-wheel drive machines, and so they have slightly less in terms of what they can give compared to other machinery. The traditional drifting car is a rear-wheel drive drifting car, and so Jerry understands this, plays the game well, and life being a little bit more tough on that runabout and making all of the difference then as we set, and then more sliding about as the time up boys are going to go the other way around. Maxim Grossman then is going to chuck that into position, and just behind that Matskiewicz Kirill, who is on the hunt giving chase in that Supra versus the JZX, and then the clearance then finds itself through, and you'd be very happy with that as an effort, as an attempt. Very solid. Not really much more that can be said about that, as they have just lighted that. Maybe a little bit short on entry there. Matskiewicz Kirill will have to be a little bit careful about that the nose doesn't point out over and in front of what you're in and around. It could be very much a case of the more that you do that, you're going to set yourself back a long, long way in terms of your points on the runs on Sunday. So you've got to try and stay and keep that back a little bit, because being in front or even trying to overtake, judges just say, no, you zeroed yourself, and you're not really making any progress with what you needed to do there. So Matskiewicz has got to be a little bit careful about that, as that one set itself on into play. As we get a little look then at some of our graphics then, 1,008 brake horsepower then that sets itself up in play as we take a look at Leonid Schneider there in principle. Now, here comes a little bit of help on the push around. This is Van Chi. Very nice to see Van Chi out there drifting. If it weren't for the fact that his engine caught fire, he could have given Jarkko Julha a big run for money. Dancing it about into 4, 3-3-2. You take that every day. I'd be very happy with that in terms of a drift if I was Vanchi. You know, I will probably go out again, and maybe a few more times than that. Just get a feel for what everyone else is doing, but yeah, marks looked really, really nice over in OZ1. At TG1 it was hit, OZ2 again. Just giving the payload that is needed on a run like that. While they don't count towards anything in practice, you still are showing your competitors what you're all about. And that is a good old show of what you're all about there with that as a push. Now we got a couple of the Rydans cars working. So Pavel Korpelinski is going to be there drifting with Jason Yee, who will now be looking at getting this to throw in. Pavel looking to try and follow. Lovely lines by the pair, maybe slightly wide by Jason, who is leading. Gets a lot of TG2 over the little crest of the hump, and again, 2 tyres go off nearly 3. Needs clearance then off through OZ3, lot better through that, and then into 4. Wow, right up onto the curb there. Love it from Jason Yee. Pavel Korpelinski was very set on the follow to go along with it. You can see here, just about getting it squared up into line. Leads room for the transition into OZ2. And again, running wing mirror, almost trying to unlatch the door handle is the way that I'd understand what you're looking for from a driver's perspective. You've got to unlatch the door handle. If you fail to do that, and clips there with the rear. Not really much more you can say about that, because it doesn't make that big of a difference if you clip it, if you don't clip it, if you're slightly off, if you're maybe in a position where it's still not quite as favourable as some others. Jerry Ju out there battling with Lu Xiao. It's Xiao who has the control. Here comes the kick away through OZ1. Now to OZ2 and TG1. TG1 hit with all the promise, and OZ3 left a little lacking. Too much emphasis on the first part, not enough on the second. That won't read good in a book report, and neither will that. So reality is finding how much this is difficult and completely understanding. And so, have you got enough of your Rydans fix? Your time-up fix, I'll correct myself then. I haven't. Maxim Grossman, a little bit over this time. Had a chance to chat with Leonard Schneider earlier on today. He said that, okay, they haven't had much practice, but it means that they're not overthinking it too much, and this is almost perfect in terms of the sweet spot that you're trying to go and get. And so that sweet spot is what you're looking for. Not too little, not too much practice, not too little that you don't know where you're going or you don't know how you need to go and get the drift sorted, not too large in the sense that, yeah, it's going to take you away from the car for an incredibly long time. So very nice, very, very astute on this drift. See the smoke pouring out from the inside and the outside. Lovely line there through TG4. Basically running the old line as the reference marker for the new line, which is slightly further back again and elongated once more. So now we're going to get some interesting machinery out there. It's number 88 now sets itself into play. Absolute beauty of a machine. Failed to qualify at the open round, but will be hoping for a fortune changer here today, knowing that that can be all the difference between getting a big result and not. Lovely 3-1-1 though, and that's not going to be as lovely ultimately there for the likes then of that running 0 mile car out there. So I'd be very pleased, very happy with how that came about, how that came to be, and where the strength and confidence has come from. And the answer is from them, from the team. Very lovely, very happy run. And I'd say even better than better in terms of what you're looking for. Here's one of the DRS lads again. Look to push, I think that might be Vanchi, who is absolutely trying to wring the neck out of it and understands, right, this is what I'm all about. Give me a little bit more of it, and then I'll show you a little bit more of it. So that is another indicator out there, as we'll take a look at the replay here of the machinery getting as much as possible out there. So you can't accuse them of having commitment issues. It's always very glad to see them and see them doing well. And I'm sure that Bunchy, that number 99, will be very happy that he's got the pink, the blue, and the white on it. Up next then for your next few drifts, you're going to get a chance to listen in, hear the sounds and hear the sights, as we'll give you a little bit of immersion of what it's like to be here at Shanghai Tianma.
its place is on the map.
First car to the line.
But what happens when a new place decides it wants everything?
Everybody stand by.
Not next year, not someday.
Car 90 is out.
Now. This is China, and this is not just another race weekend. This is the start of something bigger. A new championship, new names, new pressure, new rivals. A chance to write history from the very first run. Because when everything is new, every battle means more. Every corner matters more. Every name has a chance to become the first one remembered. And one question hangs over all of it. Who is about to change the sport?
1087X 漂移车队成立于2023年，扎根中国天津。车队集结溜溜哥、高璇、钱尊、张展赫4位顶尖车手。近年来，我们持续征战国内外顶级漂移赛事，屡创佳绩，以硬核技术、赛场实力与超强流量领跑中国漂移新势力。从解说台到冠军赛道，从国内赛场到国际舞台，每一位车手都在用热爱诠释速度与掌控，用实力铸就中国漂移新高度。1087X 漂移车队不止征战赛场，更立志肩负起推广中国漂移文化的使命，以热爱致敬赛道，以实力续写荣光。
Hey, look out. Hey, look.
They say drift already has its kings, its legends, its places on the map.
First car to the line.
But what happens when a new place decides it wants everything?
Everybody stand by.
Not next year, not someday.
Car 90 is out.
Now. This is China, and this is not just another race weekend. This is the start of something bigger. A new championship, new names, new pressure, new rivals. A chance to write history from the very first run. Because when everything is new, every battle means more. Every corner matters more. Every name has a chance to become the first one remembered. And one question hangs over all of it. Who is about to change the sport?
天津车队集结，溜溜哥、高璇、钱尊、张展赫4位顶尖车手。近年来，我们持续征战国内外顶级漂移赛事，屡创佳绩，以硬核技术、赛场实力与。
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to practice. As we get the second half underway, we left you with some sounds and sights from some of the best out there to look to go and do it. Now it's time to say, right, it's push time and it's crunch time, and many will be going out and pushing for it. Here is Chen Qian out there looking to push the Atasha on the side of the vehicle. Another word of saying, I've got pretty artwork on the side. And I had a chat with Chen Qian earlier on today, and he looked around at it and he said, I got an artist to commission for it, and I said, whatever you want to put on there, so long as it's racing themed. So that's why you see 02 is the name of the character on the side from the anime darling in the Franks. So a little look at this one there. You can see GoPros everywhere, looking to give this one a lot of love. Top 4 was made then by Chen Qian last time out over at the welcome round, and was the real upset to make it as a 22 seed to move on and get to the top 4 round robin showdown. Absolutely awesome was the way that it can be described. Now, this is where Ivampe is now going to go forward for it, looking to get that Apex Revolution 117. Moving about, lovely amounts of sideways lateral movement going on through. That is absolutely, mark my words, online and form. That looked lovely. Looked absolutely lovely, and there's not much more you can say except that was a run that committed just about getting there too, and I'd give you 2.5, 3 there on the exit. Just got better and better. It aged like a fine wine as it went on through the run. Oh, look at that there. Absolutely kicked it, and then perfect on the mark. Just what you need to get it sorted. And look at that with some super slow-mo. Wheels do not even look like they're rotating. And now pushing way out there. Sam Hongshen now looking to try and push forward for it. Misses on the bottom there through to OZ2. Going to need to hit the mark. Oh, lot of weight there as the engine just riled up, angry going through, almost pushing the bonnet up with how aggro that needed to be from that Nissan Skyline R35. GTR 35. That one was a little scruffier, and you can get the sense of, I want to push, hit the mark, just couldn't carry the speed. That's why it shallowed out through part 3 instead of 4. Really fighting there over 2, missing one of the outside zone marks, and then having to grab the handbrake to get it to spin about, which would have caused a deviation on pace. And look at the bonnet just trying to kick up. Sideways slide, 3-1-1. Again, just a little early. A little too early. Choose your fighter! It's time then as the Chun-Li machine is going to kick off that 770 of Johnson Chen up against the next driver along from Rydans, who have got a lovely international flair that are along with them for this run. And the push going to be incredible as we set into the turn. I believe this is Sebastian Fontaine. It's very low out there. Johnson Chen getting a lovely turnabout then through the first transition mark and through OZ2 without really any real worry about it. Now find your way through the smoke here at OZ3 and into OZ4, fighting, and all the way over. That one will set. So lovely stuff between them, and all about just kicking yourself into a new gear and saying, I am all this and then some. I am going to start making my noise heard. I will correct myself there. It was in fact the 78 of Kodai Sobagiri, who is there, has had 6 years of D1 GP experience, which does include a 4th place in the championship there once upon a time. So for Kodai Sobagiri, that was a case of just trying to give it a little bit more to get a little bit more out of it. There's the switch over out there, and there's a lovely amount of work that goes into these liveries. Speaking of Atashas, another one. This will be Group Atasha that is out there and pushing about here in this practice. Lovely amounts of sideways. They're not asking for much sideways here at OZ3, so that might be something to keep note. If you're shallow, it's a little bit easier. The 52 now into position, and this is Lin Yanfeng, who is now looking to make the progress around and say, I am going to be on it. Really having to fight for it a little bit into the no-go zone. That's going to be a little bit cheeky, and he's overcooked, has Lin, into that final section, so he's pushed in the tail. It's not going to do too much, but it is going to be mightily frustrating and annoying to have overdone it and put yourself at the confine of that circuit. So here at Shanghai Tianma, you really get the sense of where a difference maker is going to be, and when you're out there and you're trying to get as much of this as possible in that BMW E92, 650 brake horsepower from that 2JZ that sets itself up and says, look, I've got to try and do it. Lin Yanfeng, back kicking up there as the boot opens up and making it just a bit more tougher than it needs to be. Now, we saw Zhang Zhehe, we saw Echo Gao. This is the third of the trio at 1087X for this opening round of the championship. This is Xian Zhuan, who is looking to try and put as much forward as possible, really get this one labelled in, levy it out and saying, I want to go out there. Green lights will indicate you've got the opportunity to go for it, and go for it you do. There's the slide and rotation, holds the line, absolutely beautifully through that first part. How's the transition at TG1? That's good, but it's over the mark then for OZ2. TG2 comes along, clip that one fine. Now through the next right, left we go, 2, 2, 2s, all the 2s getting that across. Very good start, but would have been a little bit usurped by going 2 wheels out of bounds. Simply put, you stand on song for moments like these and you say, well, anybody on a given day has a shot of making that top 32 a run that would have certainly been good enough for it. Just pushed a little bit too far, having to do a little bit of work there through the middle as a deviation. And there you're getting the sense of how much you're having to push. Look, has gone too far over, just runs the gutter ball line there like you would do in bowling. Now the other 2 time up lads onto play. It's Leonid Schneider from Krasnoyarsk. They're just 22 years of age, and then Artem Shabanov over from Moskva, now looking to push the 31-year-old in that lovely Toyota Supra A80. Very nice between them. And you take a look at Leo's style, it is I get close and I will look to put as much pressure as I can on you. And anything short of that is going to be disastrous for the opponent there. And ultimately, you can see the pushes through the corners. You can see how much you need to just fight for every little bit of ground that you can get up. And Leo is a very, very tough character, a very tough cookie to go and deal with out in play. So, next up, it's another one out there that is in and around the mix of the champion speed sports cars out there for DRS. This is Van Kaive, number 25 on the car, looking to push with prowess. 1, 2, here we go, 3, and a big old miss. He missed through OZ1. Lot better here through OZ2. Again, too shallow. I missed again through the next part. Now looking to push on forward and say, come on, I've got to get something out of it. Commit it. 3, 3, 3. Van Kaiwe here in practice there. And 2 more tyres over the top for just a little bit more added measure. That is a lot of I am going to go for it here. And look, just again shallow. So nice drift. Just it's missing the marks. It's one of those where you can't have artistic license for it. You have to colour within the lines, and that is not colouring within the lines. gets 1 on the exit, 1.5. But only that, really. Nothing too more to come above and beyond of it. So that really had to fight. Lot better here. Three on the bronze wheel arch. And then the third, just as it kicked back up into finding some form of forward momentum. Now, Ho Xiaoyu in the number 3, running the gold core colours, which are blue. And they're the 317 alongside of Tianma, who is there and along with. So, you're getting your eyes set on where some of these competitors look to. Oh, that's a mile off wide, and that was well followed in. That could have been so much worse on that push by there by Tianma. But that was well held, well set, well situated, and basically got out of it in time that it didn't become a case of a parking lot down there at OZ1. But ultimately, a difference maker on that one, Ho Xiaoyu. Just trying to get it to turn, trying to get it to go. It's almost like the wheels just completely would not give it anything. It just understeered like a pig. And once you get out in the clag of those marbles, it is absolutely impossible to gather it back from there. So, very difficult. A little bit of the bodywork actually coming off there of Tianma, and that would not be helpful out there in the slightest. So, many a driver wants to prove that they've got what it takes. Can everybody, though, turn around, look at it, and get the practice in that they need? That is busy fast out there by the 128. Very busy to the point where that 117 of Ivan couldn't get anywhere near Diogan in the 129. Absolutely nowhere near Diogan, who riled and rollicked that one away in the BMW M2. And you see quite a few M2s over here in China giving a lot of a go about it, because it's a lot easier to import over the BMW parts than it is to import the Toyota. So if you're looking for something cheap here to start off your drifting journey, a BMW or a Bumway is often the road to go for many an aspiring driver, rather than the tried and true tested machinery of the Toyota Supras and the like. There, now set in that Supra, not a Mercedes SLS. That's the backup car today. But this A90 is now going to start pushing with Jarkko Yula behind. Sheng Senchun is now going to look to try and give it an old bootload of welly as the master and the apprentice go at it together. The rule of 2 between these ones. They 1-2'd or 2-1 over at the welcome round. They proved that they were the best out there. Look at a stagger from Senchun, just lisking across. Absolutely sweet as a nut. There's a reason why he's a veteran, and he is going to be so good here in these competitions. And he's looking over at Jarkko Yulha there with the R32 Skyline, giving it a whole lot of what for, to try and get in, to try and get close, to try and say, look, I want to be part of this party, and making you think. I think Sheng Senchun had an absolutely ace first drift of the second half then to push that by. Really nothing to worry about out there. Now here comes a very special machine out there that is pushing on through. It's the 319 of Lin Gao Yuan, a sensation when it comes to table tennis, and now first drift competition, looking to try and show something of that there, getting a bit of sideways movement. Former world number 2 with a paddle and ball in hand, but having to fight to get that through the middle. Needed a lot more to gain that back, and obviously the more time that you spend, that's going to be key. The cat on the side as well, the persona out there for him, and that's really showing you how difficult sometimes it can be to just get it to point the way that you want to. Really having to fight against the natural instinct there to make it go where it needed, and it didn't quite line up in the land. So Sheng Senchun is going to be now on the follow, and we'll be looking to follow Kodai Sabagiri as next one in on the 78. So that's going to be where it sets up as the next battle then that sets about, and we'll see here a lot of these graphics here, and you got the car, the nation, and the engine with its brake horsepower, the driver name and team, the number, and of course the pictures that they would have taken earlier on today. So a lot there of information to give them. Here we go. This one with the GoPro. How good is this from Sabagiri against Johnson Chen? Pushing hard through OZ1, back across for TG1 and OZ2. Lovely 2-1 though, struggling to get some speed going through, then really roars off the exit, does Sabagiri. I think he loves the fact that he wants pace. I think that's his strongest suit, but nothing there on the second part. Round is gonna go Johnson Chen, which would basically turn that unicorn of a run back into a horse. But really, it's a sense of not just what have you done, but what have you done for me lately there with that run. Johnson, very nice. And setting up there through for OZ2. And really trying to make a bit of noise there. See just how much camber sat on that knife edge of her front tire. That would probably do it. Why? Gets a bit of grass, and that's certainly not going to help into 2 or OZ2. And so you're just hoping that you can keep that momentum carry, keep that speed, keep that all in form. And then ultimately, for Johnson Chen, just overcommits it through the final section going shallow. It creates the trade-off that maybe wasn't wanted. Now Leonid Schneider's turn to go out there from the front. 77's going to follow. 2 wheels dip over. Very much jet-lagged. Hasn't slept in a couple days, says Leo. Lenya, go for it. Getting all of that drive. Now looking to push right up over the top. The 3 marks, almost like the Adidas sign, is going to be out there, and then pushing through. A lovely consummate follow there from Artyom Shabanov, who I think will be very happy. Maybe a little slow on that initial transfer to get it to sideways. Makes up for it there by the massive amount of angle that came into play. Maybe shuffled as well from slightly forward to falling back into the range behind. And that, I think, told you all you needed to know about how committed you need to be. Right on the guttering. Gets all and then some of TG1. Fighting in through the transfer there. That looks sweet as you like from Leo Schneider there. And then goes 3, 2, and then back to the 3. I'll mark those all as 3s. Back again on the push. Over at 1087X, it's Xian Shuwen piloting that E46, sorry, out there as it pushes, moving on back on through. The man from Tianjin looking to try and get that sorted, but ultimately he's going to back out of it and just try and drive that back. So obviously something not quite right on that run. Save it, no reason to fight it. We'll go again another day. Initial travel looks nice, and so you're just hoping that you can carry the speed on through, and did very, very well in order to do that. But then here on the transfer, trying to get that back for OZ2 and TG1. Look great, gets up over the wheel, or over the white line, and just goes, yeah, nah, not feeling it. Really fighting for some play as well on the steering rack there. You can see that on the replay. That could be a little downheartening out there. As the 3, I believe now it's going to be a case of how do you push. This, I think, is going to be about how you run through for Tiang Jishe, sorry. I think he's going to be looking at this as, okay, I'll get a bit of time on my own now and really understand what I'm all about here in this training. Really fighting again for it. 2 on the mark, 3 on the mark. Maybe overcommits on the exit, drops a tyre, it would be 2 in qualifying. Again, lovely 2, 1. one, struggling for speed now on the exit, gets what he wants, flirts with the line and says, hey, how are you, buy you a drink there, but now working in through four, bang, 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 it's in the twos in the middle. Decent run, a decent run indeed. And let's see why. Starts off pretty tentative, not really looking to over push, not really looking to over commit, but have to be a little bit more careful on the exits. One wheel over the line, drops it, comes back around looking for a little bit more. And ultimately, it's about how do I set myself apart as a driver, as a drifter. I've got to be better than everyone else. I've got to do something that everyone else doesn't. And ultimately, that smoothness, that way, it's almost like a flowing river. The lefts, the rights, a little bit easier out there for some. So now once more in the hands of Ling Gao Yuan, who will have all the VIP boxes filled, who will have 80% of the stands filled cheering on, and would cheer on that mistake from the Supra behind of Shungsun Chin. So lucky for him, only done in practice, but still trying to follow, still trying to wait. No marks hit. Zhang knows that all he has to do is sit in and say, I've got a really good chance of making something happen of it. Once again, getting back to maybe second would be huge. Just the one, nothing, just the one. The way that Shungsun Chin goes over it. Overcommits, gets in almost with a backwards entry, which would certainly kill the mood of the judges by way of virtue of having to go and get that bye. But again, looking forward, looking at that clearance. Looked a lot better towards the end of it. And again, really fighting that rack of the steering wheel. Shungsun Chin to get anything that is needed. Next few coming up, we'll listen here with Sounds and Sights. Give you a little listen in on how aggressive the engine notes are. international flair on show here. Jarkko Julha chasing, Shakatiashvili ultimately going the other way. And that certainly won't do any favours out then of the next zone there, which was OZ2. Julha absolutely tearing it down. We have a look at this. Oh, so quick on that initial run in. Overcooks it for how quick it is. Jarkko just jumps on in and says, look, I've got to close the gap. I'm going to go super shallow. And then it puts Adiashvili under pressure immediately, going, I got such a lead over you. What are you doing getting back? And you can see here, trying to get the rotation, stalling out, and then yoink, there goes the tank. And that ultimately says, I'm going to have to go the other way. So Adiashvili ultimately not seeing that the way as intended. So that'll be a little bit of a nightmarish situation. Chen Qian ready, wanting to go and give it a go on his own. And why not make a spectacle out there? Get it all lined up. 3, 3, 3. Yeah, that's what we want to see. Lovely on the mark, slightly over, but 3, 3. Another tire dip, 3 again. It's on the limit and slightly over, and this is the commitment that we saw that got the run to top 4. 3, 2, 2. Gets a lovely run down. And you can be a bit nitpicky on it, but that's what we look for in a drift that would more than comfortably qualify for a top 32 place. Absolutely stamped on it, looking for it. Oh, it doesn't get much better of that as it goes through. That is the idealistic, the quintessential T1. OZ1 a dream. And then really having to fight. There, of course, is 0-2. Racing gear and all. And pushing with everything that is there. DKS Longswords, Lingo Yuan looking to go for it here. Again, just struggling to carry the speed over OZ2. And then looking to navigate away through this next section. Oh, and low again, struggling for any sort of consistency. Trying to gather it back, get a little bit on it. Some would say a little bit too much mustard or not enough, depending on users' preference, but close. You're not going to get marks for close. You've got to hit the marks. And ultimately has not found a way to go and manage to do so. A little bit of calm descending, and what a battle of titans it was between these two 2 months ago in April. Leonid Schneider, Shang Chen, double overtime it was between them. Zhang switching cars. Oh, Lenya, you're a bit too shallow, and I think Zhang's going to have to abandon out of it as Leonid Schneider abandons out of it there, not getting the feel after one. OZ1, and ultimately deciding it's best to conserve the car out there with the GoPro on it to get some promotional shot for Tianma. So kicks it. Oh, look at the way that sat. There's so much in the air from that front right tyre. I wonder whether it sat back and something's maybe buckled on the back left. Looks okay. It was drivable back, but something definitely didn't sit quite right there. Oh, speaking of which, go on, give it a bit more, Welly. Who shall you? Nice. Sit down with that. Oh, slightly over, but still very nice. That was traveling at a rate of knots. The dragonflies are out in force. They're attracted to by the lake on the inside. Gives it a whole heap of welly there. Through one. 2 tyres go over. And now Johnson Chen, this time leading against Budai Subagiri. Gets a love. Oh, you're going to have to fight harder than that, Kodai. You're going to have to fight a little bit harder. Oh, distance. Distance, couldn't keep the angle, got too shallow. Distanced. And then here's the... Oh, wheel's gone! Wheel's gone! A wheel's completely gone off the back there of the right-hand 78 and has gone trundling along. 3 wheels on my wagon, trying to get through. Look at it. This is going to deposit itself all the way down at the end, and this is going to be with a thump. In fact, we don't have enough angle for the camera to see where that's landed. Oh, my goodness. We've had a tyre discard itself. That would have been why. So take a look at it. You're fighting through something obviously not right. Look, it's trying to go now. And it has to wait till here at 3, where Johnson Chen just goes through and then whoomp. There it goes. And a focus then ultimately stays over with Chun-Li and Johnson Chen. But the wheel, boing, boing, boing. It's already gone. Unfortunately, no damaging then to the rim. The brakes, God, look at it, shred itself apart. Always a scary sight when you see a tyre go like that. Fortunately enough, it's not come back onto circuit, so they deem it in a safe enough position. Ken Chen on the chase. See that with a very high GoPro angle that's there. And over then with, I believe, the 1, 2, 8, Diogan is there and into play. Here we go. Yeah, I'd have that reaction as well. What am I here for? I'm here for the tyre. Over and across, deposited in the gravel pit there at turn 1, so it's run out of runoff. You stay there. I'll have a look. There it is. Right in the corner as you look to plant it. A very rubbered in and worn tyre in the corner pocket for 7 extra points. They'll pick it up, put it in the back with all the fire extinguishers that would be needed to be used. And waves out there from the marshals. You can't do an event like this without the marshals, how critical and important it is to go through. Here's another look. So working through, the wheel discards in the back. But that was lovely on the slow-mo, but then the wheel comes off. And it's shredded something along with it there on that inside, and I wonder whether that makes all the difference here. Looks like some RDS signage that's gone with it. You can see running over the marbles. It's not quite a clean circuit now on the inside, on the outside of some of these corners, or even on the inside of some of them as well. So that's how they set on their battles. But Shanghai Apex is then Ken Chen and Diogan out there to prove what it's got to take on the next drift. Here we go. Diogan on the left, Ken Chen on the right in the blue. Dio chucks it in well, gets 2, overcommits through the second part, so it was too shallow, had to do work through the transition, and now trying to pivot on by, and that's really low and slow by Ken Chen, struggling to keep any form of pace up and any line and commitment. Now it's going to have to go out, oh, and gets a big old clout going through into OZ4. Make that another one who will not be best pleased by making that level of contact. Jumping on through. It's erratic. It's low, but that's where Ken needs to be. but then everywhere else is where the trouble spot comes in. Really is committed, gets a lot of sideways movement, and a crumple stilt skin of the rear for the downforce level. Look at it. Oh, and it has knocked the wheel. I'd be concerned if there's any linkage brake or anything of that. That is really awkward. And the way that's held, you wonder whether it could have rotated smoothly or not after it. So there's a look. Just, again, lovely line by Diogan. That is exactly what you got to hit. Continue going for it, and then whoops. I made an oopsie just behind, and that pretty much sets that one a little bit further backwards. Waiting now. Artem Shabanov wanting to go. As we'll take a little look over once more at our qualifying graphic. It sets itself up and ready here in practice. Just getting a little bit of a feel for everything that goes and gets itself set on. And he's also going to get a battle there with, I believe, Sebastian Fontaine, who will go with the Dutchman. All 6'6" of him going for it here. Fontaine loves to get that super wide drift style going. He loves getting as much sideways action as possible. It's a very, very nice drift between the pair of them. Fontaine giving as much chase as he can to Artem Shabanov. And Artem, I think, has had a really good run there. That was well drifted. And this is why marks, okay, 2 there, but you count that as 3. 3 there. On the line isn't over the line, so I'd say he's absolutely aced that. And every corner he's pushing towards the extremities of what they have to get through. That would be a lovely qualifying run if you were able to go and replicate it. But as we know, there are no guarantees in drifting like this. One drift can be the big different shake-up between success and failure. And so you are hoping that you don't find yourself in that regard on failure. Now, let's try this again. Leonid Schneider against Shungsun Chin. Big old angle from Leonid Schneider, and that's a lot better. That's the Leo we know. Very shallow from Shungsun Chin, who now looks into 2, and he's going to have to do a lot of work to try and pull this back if this were a tandem battle again between them. Schneider building the margin, building up all of that process, and just saying, look, I didn't beat you 2 months ago, but I've grown in the last 2 months. I can be a little bit more up together with it, especially in practice. And ultimately, Shungsun Chin experimenting a little bit on a lower line, trying to find that grip, and it's very difficult when you get low at OZ1 because of the curb. That curb basically asks the suspension a lot to deal with it, but also asks the driver, how are you going to deal with it? How are you going to set it up? Wait, you can't get that much closer. Leonid Schneider. And so they clear that, move themselves away. And now another chance to have another go out there and really chuck it all together. This, the 778 of Johnson Chen. But Chun Li on the side, ready to basically throw a flying scorpion kick anyone's way who gets too close. Lovely stuff. That is nice. Little bit slow, but nice. I'd take that. I'd take that. Line's the most important score. It scores 50 out there over the run. It's 20 on the angle, and then it's 10s across the board for commitment, for pace, and for fluidity, which all speak to themselves about what you need to do with all 3 out there. So, very lovely drift. No complaints on that. And one more of those tomorrow. You sit yourself down in the, I would say, in the Hall of Giants as a top 32 candidate. More drifting to come in a moment.